Several days ago, I was at a luncheon. I was there in order to do a presentation. It was for a local professional association here in town. Like usual, we had questions at the end. And one of the questions was, hey, John, how do we use AI, artificial intelligence, in order to improve our leadership capability, capacity, and so forth? And the general scenario was that back in the day, we used to just have four people and they made a decision. Things kind of moved along fairly rapidly. Could have been faster, but, compared to today, it was pretty quick. Now we have 60 people that are involved, and boy, does everything slow down. So before I get to what I answered, and hopefully you'll agree, I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of John the PM, where we believe that managing projects is not just a job, but a way of life. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Leadership, artificial intelligence. The general scenario that I was presenting before, a little bit earlier, was that I was delivering a keynote presentation. Now, as usual, we have time for a question and answer. Why? Because these are professionals, and they usually have real world problems that they're trying to grapple with, and they want to know how the material that I am presenting can possibly help them, not tomorrow, but today. And one of the gentlemen, stood up and asked, hey, John, we have a problem here. One of the problems in our organization is that several years ago, there were four people and we made decisions fairly quickly. Now it's ballooned up to like 60 and we just can't get anything done. And one of the things that was kind of brought up was, hey, why not use AI, artificial intelligence, to actually speed up, the pace of which we're moving. Now, keep in mind that I'm kind of like in front of a group of people. So usually what kind of like jumps out the mind is what kind of like comes out. And my almost immediate reaction was, you do not have an AI, artificial intelligence problem. You do not have a technical problem. You do not have necessarily a process problem. What you have is a leadership problem. So I want to dive onto that just a little bit. Now, I love AI, on that side. It's here to stay. So we might as well get on board, try to understand it, learn it, all those other great things, develop, appropriate skill sets. However, when I'm usually working with an organization, one of the very, very first questions I ask is, what is the business case? The why? What is it that what are the benefits that you expect to get out of it? And normally I'm trying to drive down to a number, a financial number. Why? Because it ultimately has to pay for itself. And then after we can really establish what the business case is and what are some of the options, really kind of decide, hey, are we actually answering the question? Are we actually addressing the root problem and or concern? Now, before launching any project really, but AI projects in general, you really have to be very, very specific and clear. What is the problem that we're actually solving? And if we solve this problem, will it have benefits that will mushroom out? And when I listened to the gentleman as he was articulating his particular need, I can easily see why we may want to work on our processes. So my gut reaction was that while without a deeper dive into it, there could be some, administrative issues that are kind of happening, or maybe not getting things formulated. There's always that possibility. So improving your processes is always a good thing. So there's no issues about that. But my gut reaction was, I think you actually have a leadership problem. And AI, artificial intelligence, while it may augment, it may help, it may decipher, things of that nature, it's not necessarily going to resolve that issue. If you have a leadership problem, then you need to use a leadership solution. Because what could happen is that you could implement the AI tool, whatever it is, and actually make bad decisions go faster. Or you can make not poor decisions, even poorer, if that's even a word, worse, on that side. So you have to be really judicious in exactly what are we solving. After you resolve the leadership issue, by all means, see how AI can help you maybe gather reports faster, pull things in, different, analytics, on that side. And then it can help you to pull together the facts so that you can make a decision. on that. But again, that decision should really be from a human being. And again, that's a leadership issue. So again, just kind of food for thought. Just kind of think about, hey, what is the specific problem we're actually trying to resolve? Is it a process issue? Is it a technical issue? Or is it a leadership issue? And then try to apply the right tool, the right solution, for that specific problem. Now, just because I did kind of sort of mention it, human behavior, leadership, they kind of go hand in hand. Believe it or not, AI could help you to do that. It could. But again, and you'll hear me say this quite frequently, is that you as the human being ought to be the teacher and the AI tool ought to be the intern. In other words, the AI tool cannot become the teacher and you're the intern. So again, you have to really build up your skill sets so that you know what the appropriate prompts are, what the databases that they're actually using, and things of that nature, so that you can actually come out to a quality thought process that you, as the human in the loop, can make the final decision on. Well, that's enough for today. I could go on for AI for for a while. I've been really studying it, really trying to dive into it, understand it from a conceptual perspective, and really how to implement it in organizations. But if you enjoyed this session, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the algorithms. And what does that mean to you? It allows us to be a greater service back to you. In the meantime, may all of your projects be first class.